James is asking, what are one or two of your favorite ways to enjoy the non-touristy part of Scotland when you travel there?
Mm,
Enjoy the non-touristy part.
that's
Um,
hard. It's getting harder.
it is and it's not. I'd say this. First, whenever I go, I typically drive myself. I don't do the guided tour thing, or if I do, it's just like a day tour or a 3-hour tour. I would take a short tour, do little things if I want to do the tourist thing. If I want to experience what the locals are experiencing, I will, if I'm staying at a bed and breakfast, I'll ask the host of the bed and breakfast, where should I go? What's the best restaurant in town that has the best local food? What's the best pub for traditional music? What's the best spot where the locals don't give me the McDonald's, don't give me the main chain, the chain bar. Give me where the local people go. That's how you actually get the flavor, if you will. Same kind of thing if you're in a big city, ask the concierge at the hotel, where should I go? What's the best thing to do tonight? It's you have to rely on the kindness of strangers, on the kindness of the locals, because they'll know better than you what the good local spots are versus unless you want to do the tourist thing, which there's nothing wrong with that. It's a prepackaged thing. You know what you're getting. There's a history element to it, and they're going to give you what you want if that's what you want. But if you want to know the thing, I'd say go yourself. Do it in your own time. Maybe do a little bit of research ahead of the time when you go. Okay, if I'm going to be staying in Aberfoyle, which is the first place I ever went in Scotland, what's on the other side of the Trossachs? Calendar was on the other side, so we went over there. We went around the Trossachs. We went down to Glasgow for day trips. We went out to Fort William. It's just seeing neat, fun stuff. If there's a distillery you might want to go to, look for the fun stuff in the local area, what the region is known for, and then when you get there, be willing to call an audible and say, "Hey, I was going to plan on going to this distillery." I was going to go to the Lagavulin distillery on Isla, but you get there and you're like, hey, what's the best distillery? And they go, oh, don't go to Lagavulin. Their tour is kind of meh. They're too busy this time of the season. Go to Lafroig. There you get a better tour. Whatever. It's just call an audible and do what you do. Mr. Eric.
Mr. Rocky.
Yes.
Yeah, I would go even further. I tend to like pretty rough and ready travel. My wife and I will do bed and breakfasts, not hotels. If you are young enough and bold enough, do youth hostels. Use the hostel system. Do not go to the big hotels. Avoid hotels if you can. Bed and breakfast will give you a much more unique experience. You'll get to meet people that you wouldn't get to meet otherwise. You can socialize with other people staying there or not, as you choose. Sometimes you want to hang out in the living room in the morning and or in the evening and meet the other people there. Other times you don't. Some of our best memories are things like staying at a bed and breakfast and the sheep being right outside the window, and I swore I heard people. I heard noises. And I'm like, sounds like there's people pretending to be sheep outside. And I went to the window, and there's this flock of sheep out there. And it's like, wow, like real sheep sound like people pretending to be sheep. It's this weird realization I had. It's this weird cliche. And then actually from that very same bed and breakfast, we walked from there into the village, over a little canal, to a pub for dinner. And we ate outside, which had the weird experience of me seeing rats in the canal as we're eating. There are these rats running around. You don't know what you're going to find, is what I'm saying. And you got to get off the beaten path. So I think hike, stay in bed and breakfasts, self-drive absolutely if you can, or try and, if you need a guide or if you're afraid of driving or something like that, then consider hiring a driver as opposed to taking a tour bus. And when you can, slip in the conversations with people facts that demonstrate that you're not an idiot. Okay, that you respect the culture, and that you know more about it than what it says in the guidebook or more than what you saw on a YouTube documentary. Okay. My dad, not my story, but my dad had a great story where he went to England and they had a driver, and this is in the 60s, so I guess it was easier to do back then. They had a driver, and he became friends with the guy to the point where the guy was like, you know what, I'm going to take you to the pub I go to. And he went, and he wound up having drinks with a couple of people, and there was a dartboard, and they started to, people were like, hey, you want to play darts? And he was like, actually, yes. They didn't expect the American to play darts. And so he had a friendly game of darts with this guy, and it's like, oh, okay, you know, nice game. And he did pretty well for himself. He didn't win. And then, you know, shook hands afterwards, and they had another drink, and later the guy left, and the barkeep was like, yeah, that was the town champion. He let you win. He let you do as well as you did. but it was great because he didn't come off as a jerk. He came off as a sincere student, like we always say. And you will see things that you don't expect. You'll find things you don't expect. Little things that are going to stick with you as memories, like me and my canal rats. If you do all that independently, be as independent as possible is my advice, and get out of the freaking city. Always get out of the cities if you can.
My canal rat story, if you will.
It's canon now.
Now, can I piggyback something? Piggybacks? Yeah, whatever.
Ratty back?
When Kelly and I went to Ireland for the first time, I remember we landed and we stayed. We had to drive, from Dublin across country to Clare. We stayed in a town called Ennis, and there was a small, like 4 or 5 cottages on like a property. It was kind of, it was January. The owner had to come out, give us our key, let us in, and then left.
Perfect.
And I remember it was, Kelly and I used to smoke way back when. We don't anymore, but we used to smoke way back when. And I remember, she went outside and it was pitch black, far away from the city, nothing out there. She went outside to have a cigarette, and she found, a rock to sit on, and there was, a field beside her and a fence and stuff. And she was just sitting there in the quiet, and literally right beside her, she heard, "Mrrr." There was a cow right beside her. She jumped out of her skin, came running back to the house, like, "Oh my God!" But it was that dark. But when we stayed there, we went to town and we were talking to people, just striking up conversations and just being nice and open and trying to be nice to the people that are there and asking them, where's the best place to go for session music on a Tuesday? And multiple people said, okay, this bar. That's where we went. We sat down, had our pints of Guinness, musicians, filed in. There was a peat fire. Old dude on a bike came over and buying drinks back and forth, just hanging out, talk. It was just like wonderful time, but we wouldn't have known it if we wouldn't have asked the locals, where do you go? What do you see? What do you do? How do I get the authentic experience, not the watered down tourist version? So,
and yeah, I mean, and honestly, there's a little, embrace the street culture too. Like if you're staying at the B&B and you're like, you know what? I want to get a chippy. Where can I get a good chippy? And you're not asking for, yes, where's the best restaurant? We want to have some authentic Scottish cuisine. It's like, dude, I want a chippy. Where can I get a good chippy? And they'll be like, oh, okay, this guy's real. So, and that's, you get the legit right now real-time street culture, and B, you're signaling that you have respect and you're not on a high horse. That you're not expecting to be entertained. That you're not there to be entertained by them, that they're not a toy for you or something. So it's like, go talk to somebody and say, like, we want to have we were thinking about going out to a restaurant tonight, but instead we're going to get a munchie box. Who has the best munchie boxes in town? There's all kinds of ways to break the ice, but once you break the ice, then you're in. Then you get the tips, then you get the inside skinny. And I'll tell you what, watching TV over there is a hoot also. There were a couple of nights where we were just exhausted and we would just be like watching British TV. It's like, wow, okay, that's different. So, yeah, just keep your mind open and get out of the city, like I said. Scotland is one of the most popular vacation destinations in the world. One of our favorite bits is the whiskey trail that this video over here is about. Or if you want more tips in general about going to Scotland, check out this playlist. Want more videos about Scotland and Scottish culture? Do us a favor and subscribe and ring the bell so you get notifications.